also known as rapper Pooh Shiesty, will remain in jail for now.
Picture this. You're the only white dude moving inside one of Memphis's most dangerous gangs. You've put in work, earned stripes, proven yourself over and over. Then one moment gets caught on camera, and suddenly Pooh Shiesty himself cuts you off from Choa Gang. That's exactly how White Grape's downfall started. And trust me, this story gets crazy. People always say gang loyalty is unbreakable, but what happens when your skin color turns you into the easiest one to replace? White Grape went from being Chopa Gang's go-to shooter to getting personally kicked out by Pooh Shiesty after a single bad situation. And what he did right after that? Yeah, nobody saw that coming.
I'm not a rap, alright? If y'all think this on some rap beef shit or we rapping or going back and forth, I'm through. I retired. I ain't making no more songs.
We're talking about a dude who felt so disrespected by his own boss that he allegedly caught a body just to prove he wasn't soft. This isn't just another street story, gang. This is about how racial politics really play out in the trenches, and how Pooh Shiesty cutting White Grape loose set off a chain reaction with deadly consequences. From that robbery video that made Pooh Shiesty move the way he did, to White Grape's violent attempt to clap back. This whole situation exposes the ugly reality of street loyalty. So if you want to see how Pooh Shiesty's leadership call turned a white boy from Memphis into a murder suspect, and why the Chopa Gang leader had to make one of the hardest decisions of his career, you'll want to stay locked until the very end, because this story only gets crazier as it unfolds. Hit the sub and like button, and let's get into it. Before we even dive deeper into White Grape's story, you gotta understand where Choa Gang really came from, and what they actually stand for. See, Pooh Shiesty didn't just wake up one day and decide to start a gang. This crew was formed out of survival in the ruthless streets of South Memphis. Growing up in the Cane Creek projects, violence was normal from day one. His pops, known in the streets as Mob Boss, was heavily active and even launched a label called Mob Ties Records. But that same lifestyle caught up to him fast. He ended up locked up as an accessory to murder when Pooh was still a kid. That's the kind of environment that molded a young Pooh Shiesty. By the time Pooh hit Central High, he started clicking up with other young dudes chasing money by any means. His closest homie was Big 30 out of Whitehaven, along with names like Lil Hank, Antwop, and a few others. They called themselves Choa Gang because they always stayed armed with choppers, and the name just stuck. Now let's break down the core members real quick. Big 30 is Pooh's right-hand man, and was actually the first to land a major deal through Moneybag Yo. Then you've got Big Scar, Pooh's cousin and a founding member of Double R Gang, somebody who was deep in the streets until a random reaction video blew him up. Choa Gang Hank is currently locked up on attempted murder charges, allegedly shooting into a car and leaving someone paralyzed due to mistaken identity. And Choa __ is sitting down on a murder charge with 2 attempted murders on top of that. These aren't average street dudes, fam. These are certified hitters who built their names off violence and fear in Memphis.
I'm outside, cuz. I want you to just say what you just said on that status in my face. Come on, just do that. Just do that for me, please. Where you at? Get them on here, y'all. I ain't gonna lie though, on some real shit, I gotta keep it so 100. I ain't never liked you, cuz. I ain't gonna lie, I ain't never like your bitch ass.
See, I try to give you a pass with Shiesty, good.
Whopping 30 trying to give your bitch ass a pass. I never liked you. You know I ain't like you.
But here's where things take a turn. They let a white boy into the circle, and that decision would later come back to haunt everybody involved. To really understand Choa Gang's beef, you gotta understand Memphis street politics. The city is literally split by train tracks that separate hoods and alliances. You've got North Memphis, South Memphis, and East Memphis, each with their own sets that have been at war for years. Since Choa Gang reps the South, beef with Northside crews was inevitable. The conflict that really put them on the radar was with EBG, the crew tied to E-Jizzle. That tension started back in high school at Central, where Pooh Shiesty and E-Jizzle went to school together, but were from completely opposite sides. Things escalated even more when Pooh dropped back in blood with Lil Durk. On that record, he was clearly talking to EBG when he said, "You know who took that from you? Come get it back in blood." That wasn't just rap talk. He was referencing a real incident where Choa Gang allegedly robbed EBG's spot and took their guns. And that line, yeah, that was a real threat. EBG clapped back with their own remix, rocking CGK hoodies, short for Choppa Gang Killer. They even pulled Quando Rondo into the video just to take direct shots at Lil Durk. That's how serious this beef got. Not long after that diss dropped, E-Jizzle was hit 3 times in the arm, just days later. And that wasn't even the first major war Pooh was caught up in. Before EBG, he had serious issues with Big Boogie out of North Memphis. That situation spiraled so bad that Big Boogie's concert in Mississippi got shot up, over 50 shots let off. 2 people lost their lives, including Boogie's close friend Jasmine, who was standing on stage with him. That's the kind of real-life violence these Memphis beefs bring with them.
3, 4 in the morning. Look at my phone. I put something out on me. I said, look at my phone again. Text me again.
Now let's get into White Grape, real name Kenny. This dude stood out from day one. Growing up white in South Memphis, he had to prove himself nonstop just to make it. While kids his age were stressing over school and video games, White Grape was already in the trenches, trying to earn respect from people who automatically labeled him soft just off his skin color. He went to Central High with Pooh Shiesty and the rest of Choa Gang, and even back then, he was known for having women lined up back to back. Dude had serious game, but more than that, he was always willing to put in work in the streets. And nah, White Grape wasn't some suburban kid playing gangster. He really came from the struggle, really lived that life. But in Memphis, and especially in Black street culture, there's this built-in assumption that white boys can't be dangerous. People see the skin first and assume weakness instead of capability. That's exactly what White Grape ran into. Even while putting in work for Choa Gang, even while riding for his people, a lot of folks still didn't take him serious. To them, he was just a white boy, an easy target. White Grape eventually got initiated into the Grape Street Crips while still tied to Choa Gang, and that initiation was no joke. They beat him down bad, so bad that pictures went viral all over Memphis. His face swollen, bloody, barely recognizable. But he took it like a soldier. You'd think that would have silenced the doubters. It didn't. And this is where everything went left. One day, White Grape was out in the streets handling business when some dudes decided to test him. They saw a white boy with a gun and some cash and figured it'd be an easy lick. They were wrong about it being easy, but they still caught him slipping. Word on the street is they rushed him fast. One of them pistol whipped him with his own gun while the others emptied his pockets. Strap gone, money gone, everything gone. But here's the part that really sealed his fate. Someone was recording. The video shows White Grape getting fully violated. This wasn't just a robbery. It was straight humiliation. They knew who he was. They knew he was Choa Gang. They knew he was supposed to be a shooter. And they wanted to embarrass him and his whole crew. Getting beaten with your own gun while they talk trash, making sure everybody sees they just robbed one of Pooh Shiesty's soldiers. Once that video hit the streets, it spread like wildfire. In Memphis, reputation is everything. Getting caught lacking is bad enough. But on camera, that reflects on the whole gang. People started questioning Choa Gang's credibility. How you gonna claim killers when one of your members gets robbed and beaten with his own strap? How you gonna let a white boy represent you like that? The disrespect was nonstop. Folks were clowning White Grape, saying he never belonged, saying Choa Gang was getting desperate, letting anybody in just to boost numbers. The clip was everywhere: Instagram, Facebook, group chats, and every repost made Choa Gang look weaker. And when Pooh Shiesty finally saw that video, he was furious. This wasn't just about White Grape losing a robbery. This was about the image of his entire organization. In the streets, perception is reality, and the perception was that Choa Gang looked weak. Pooh had to make a call, and he didn't hesitate. White Grape had to go. It didn't matter that he'd been loyal. It didn't matter that he'd put in work time and time again. The moment he got caught lacking, and it was all on camera, he became a liability to the whole crew. Word came down fast. White Grape was officially cut from Choa Gang. All ties severed. Completely disowned. In their eyes, he had brought shame to the organization, and there was no way back. That's just how the streets operate. Loyalty only stretches so far. Once you're a risk, you get tossed. For White Grape, that had to hit like a punch to the chest. These weren't just gang members. This was family. He had risked everything for Choa Gang, taken beatings, put his life on the line, and now he was being thrown away over a single slip-up. But here's the harsh truth about the streets. Once you're in, you never truly get out. White Grape might have been cut from Choa Gang, but he was still in Memphis, still had to survive, still had to eat, And now, the stakes were even higher. Everyone was watching him, sizing him up as weak. Kicked out, White Grape had to figure out his next move. Disappearing wasn't an option. He still had to survive, still had to grind, still had to navigate the same dangerous streets that had already shown zero respect. So he went back to what he knew best: hustling, moving drugs, trying to build his own operation without the safety net of Choa Gang. That was insanely risky, because everyone knew he'd been disowned by one of Memphis' most feared crews. The streets were watching him closely. Some felt bad, thinking he got a raw deal. Others saw him as an easy target now that he had no backup. And some, they were just waiting for the drama, wondering what he'd do next. Would he fold under pressure, or prove he was really about that life? White Grape made his choice. He was going to prove himself. But that decision would cost him everything. He was determined to show Memphis that being white didn't make him soft. Tired of assumptions, tired of disrespect, tired of being seen as weak just because of his skin color. The irony? His biggest enemy wasn't his skills, it was perception. He'd already shown he could handle himself, risked it all for his crew, proven he could ride. But in Memphis, where reputation is everything and racial stereotypes run deep, perception can be deadlier than any gun. Perception often matters more than reality. And for White Grape, his determination to prove himself would end in tragedy. He was out hustling, trying to rebuild both his reputation and his bank account, when another group decided to test him. This time, though, he was ready. Reports say White Grape was in Binghamton trying to make a drug sale when some dudes from West Memphis pulled up. They came with counterfeit money, thinking they could run a scam on him. When White Grape realized the cash was fake, things escalated fast. In a normal situation, it might have just been an argument, or maybe a scuffle, but White Grape had something to prove. He'd been robbed before, humiliated on camera, kicked out of his gang, disrespected because of his race. He wasn't about to let history repeat itself. To him, this was another test, just like before, a challenge because he was white and assumed weak. But this time, he wasn't backing down. The confrontation turned deadly. White Grape pulled out his gun and started shooting. One of the West Memphis men was killed, and just like that, White Grape went from being a Choa Gang member to an ex-member to a murder suspect. All because he felt the pressure to prove he wasn't soft. The crazy part? This could have all been avoided if people had just judged him by his actions, not his skin color. If the streets had respected his work from the beginning, if Choa Gang had supported him after the robbery, maybe things would have ended differently. White Grape's story is ultimately about how racism, yes, even in the streets, affects everyone. We often talk about white people stereotyping black people as dangerous, but we rarely discuss how black people sometimes stereotype white people as weak. White Grape constantly faced people assuming he couldn't handle himself because he was white. Even inside his own crew, even after proving himself repeatedly, there was always that lingering doubt. Was he really about that life? And when he got robbed, instead of backing him like they would a black member, Choa Gang cut him loose immediately. Think about it. If Big 30 or Big Scar had been caught on camera getting robbed, would Pooh Shiesty have kicked them out? Probably not. It would have been seen as a setback to bounce back from. But because White Grape was white, that robbery was treated as proof that he didn't belong. This mindset is dangerous for everyone. When assumptions are made based on race, people feel forced to overcompensate. White Grape felt that pressure every single day. White Grape constantly had to prove he was tough enough, dangerous enough, street enough. That pressure pushed him to make a choice that destroyed his life and ended someone else's. The streets don't care about skin color. When bullets start flying, a white boy with a gun is just as deadly as anyone else. But society's perceptions made White Grape feel like he had to prove himself again and again. And that need to prove himself? That's exactly what got him in trouble.